Is this happening to you? Then you're in the right place for video game training. In this video, I'm going to show you how to defeat Decaying Dragon Ekzykes. My name is Azzavhar or Azza. Now let's get into the video. I'll just show you where this boss is located on the map. So it's very close to Caelid Highway South, and the boss itself is located here. I'll just show you the setup that we're using for this fight. So we've got two keen scimitars. We've got a serpent's bow with fire arrows and serpent arrows. We'll also be applying fire grease to our weapon. Ekzykes is insanely weak to fire damage, and I'd also recommend bringing some preserving boluses to get rid of the Scarlet Rot. There is actually a merchant located here where you can buy fire arrows and also preserving boluses from. Okay, so let's jump into the fight. First of all, we'll pop a pickled turtleneck and we'll lock on. We'll use the serpent's bow and the serpent's arrows first of all. You can do a little bit of extra damage if you do hit him in the head, so feel free to lock on to the head. And with a lot of this guy's attacks, keeping your eyes on his animations kind of gives away what he's about to do. So this one's going to be a sort of swoop down. You can dismount Torrent. You do get a few invincibility frames if you're mounting or dismounting Torrent, so feel free to use that to your advantage. That's going to be a wing attack. You can kind of see him getting the wing ready, so just pull back to avoid that. It's going to keep shooting these serpent arrows and eventually apply poison. So you can see his health is ticking down with the poison. Watch out for the bites. So it's not ticking down loads, to be fair. Not a massive amount of damage, but it's pretty decent. For that one there, where he kind of just roars, you just want to back up, so Scarlet Rot will kind of drop down. You just want to avoid it. For that particular Scarlet Rot breath, it's kind of like a straight line, and then you want to just run to your left or right to avoid that one. You can also shoot fire arrows. You see a little bit of Scarlet Rot sort of like on the tip of his mouth before he actually does the breath. So it's a bit of a telltale sign telling you he's about to do rotten breath, just like that. Going to be a sweeping one. So for the sweeping one, basically I just run backwards to avoid that one. Try and show you some fire arrows. The fire arrows do decent damage. Not amazing damage, but they're not too bad. So we'll fire a few of those. That's going to be a tail whip. That's the fire arrows. Next, I'll try and show you the fire pots. It's going to be a wing attack. Once again, if you can hit his head, it does do more damage. So I'll try and get some of these to connect, but I guess we'll see how we go. To be very careful of that Scarlet Rot. Swooping attack, I think. So just dismount. As it's coming down, we'll try and get some of these to connect. Go back up. That's all the fire pots. That particular rotten breath attack there, he kind of like stands up and then kind of breathes down towards the floor. That one kind of like fills the whole area with Scarlet Rot, so you just want to get far away, as far away as you can really. To avoid that, it's going to be a sweeping one. Once again, just going to back up for that one. Then we'll go for some fire grease. So another tactic that you can do is kind of like run on in. Watch out for that bite. Run on in on Torrent like that with fire on your weapon. It's going to be a rotten breath. That's quite tricky to avoid, that particular one there. That's probably the spiciest one. Because if you're underneath him, like we just were, you can't obviously see the Scarlet Rot on the tip of his mouth. He kind of like flies backwards and breathes it down. So you just want to ride out as fast as possible, basically, if that does happen. And the stomps, there is a bit of Scarlet Rot that kind of comes off of his feet when he stomps. That's going to be a tail whip, so just back up. Another stomp. Just try and get kind of like to the opposite side, basically. If he does a stomp, just try and get out of the way of the Scarlet Rot. It's going to be a bite, but you can just sort of dodge forward to avoid it. Another stomp, just get around the opposite side. And a tail whip. Next I'll show you on foot. I personally usually go and fight this guy on foot. Although, like I mentioned before, it's quite spicy. If he does that kind of like fly backwards and Scarlet Rot, it's quite tricky to avoid that one. It's going to be the sweeping one. So what we'll do is buff up. And we'll go on in on foot. Just going to wait for that to get out of the way before it's safe to go in. Just going to move to the sides for that. So generally I tend to go roughly around here. It's going to be a sort of like turn around and bite attack there. It's going to do a stomp. I'm just going to go on this side here to get away from it. And another stomp. So back up a little bit. Probably going to do a tail whip or a bite. This is a tail whip. If we're in that position, you can sometimes get an attack on his head depending on timing. So as you can see, we do quite a lot of damage. That's a tail whip. Just roll to the left. Sometimes you can get that strike in there on his head. So because we're not on turret at the minute, we're just going to roll that one. And tail whip, so just roll through. Just run on in. Just roll to the opposite foot like that, basically, if he does the stomps, if you're fighting on foot. It's going to be a bite. Roll forward to avoid it. And there we go. That is the fight. There's loads more video game tutorials, boss guides and walkthroughs on my channel. Some videos have just popped up right now, feel free to check them out and give them a click. I've covered loads of games such as Elden Ring, Sekiro, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, Neo 2, Ninja Gaiden and loads more. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, thank you very much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.